Admit your little business failed, my father demanded from the gallery of the bankruptcy courtroom, his voice carrying the theatrical disappointment he'd perfected over 37 years of fatherhood. Stop embarrassing this family with these delusions of success. Just declare bankruptcy, come home, and let your brother give you a real job. My mother nodded eagerly beside him, already composing the narrative she'd share with relatives, how they saved their wayward daughter from her foolish entrepreneurial adventure. But why did I smile for the first time in 6 hours of proceedings? And why did Judge Margaret Holloway remove her glasses and address my father with an expression that transformed from judicial neutrality to something far more serious? Mr. Moretti, I need to stop these proceedings immediately. The judge's voice carried a weight that silenced the courtroom. Are you aware that the company you filed this fraudulent bankruptcy petition against supplies critical technology to 3 branches of the United States military? My father's confident expression faltered. Bailiff, I need you to make a call to the FBI field office. We may have a national security situation developing in my courtroom. The blood drained from my father's face. FBI? What are you talking about? This is just my daughter's failing tech company. Mr. Moretti, I strongly advise you to stop talking. Immediately. My family had never believed in me. The Moretti clan operated on a simple principle: sons built empires, daughters married into them. My 3 brothers had been groomed for success from birth: business degrees, family connections, positions in my father's commercial real estate firm. They were the future of Moretti Holdings. I was supposed to be someone's wife. Find a good husband, have children, support him while he builds something, my mother had advised when I'd announced my intention to major in computer science. That's what women in this family do. What if I want to build something myself? Then you learn the hard way that the world doesn't work that way for people like us. People like us meant women. Daughters. Accessories to male ambition rather than architects of our own futures. I'd ignored their advice. Earned my degree. Worked at defense contractors for 8 years, learning the intersection of cybersecurity and military applications. And when I was 32, I'd founded Sentinel Defense Technologies, a company specializing in secure communication protocols for sensitive government operations. My family had never asked what Sentinel actually did. They'd heard tech startup and assumed failure was inevitable. The bankruptcy petition wasn't my idea. My brother Vincent had filed it on behalf of concerned family members, claiming that Sentinel Defense Technologies was insolvent, that I'd borrowed money from relatives that couldn't be repaid, and that court intervention was necessary to protect creditors. Every word was a lie. I'd never borrowed money from my family. They'd never offered, and I'd never asked. Sentinel had been funded through government grants, defense industry investors, and revenue from actual contracts. We were profitable, significantly profitable, but my family didn't know that because they'd never bothered to ask. The petition was Vincent's attempt to force me back under family control. He'd recently taken over day-to-day operations of Moretti Holdings and apparently saw my independence as a personal affront. His little sister, succeeding without his help? Unacceptable. The forged loan documents he'd submitted to the court were almost impressive in their audacity. Fabricated promissory notes. Fake repayment schedules. Signatures that looked vaguely like mine but weren't. He'd expected me to crumble. To admit defeat rather than fight publicly. To come crawling back to the family that had never wanted me to leave. He'd badly miscalculated. The courtroom had been packed with Morettis. My father, mother, Vincent, my other brothers Marcus and Anthony, various aunts and uncles who'd heard there would be family drama worth witnessing. They'd arrived expecting entertainment, the prodigal daughter finally getting her comeuppance. I'd arrived with my attorney, Patricia Okonkwo, and 3 boxes of documentation that would destroy Vincent's case and possibly his freedom. Your Honor, Patricia had begun, we move to dismiss this petition as fraudulent. Every document submitted by the petitioner is fabricated. My client has never borrowed money from her family, has never signed any promissory notes with them, and her company is not insolvent. That's a lie. Vincent had shouted from the gallery. She took $400,000 from family accounts. Mr. Moretti, you are not a party to these proceedings. Sit down and be silent, or you'll be removed. Patricia continued, presenting the real financial records. Sentinel's revenue, $12.7 million last year. Government contracts, 7 active, including 3 with Department of Defense classifications. Employees, 47. Debt, 0. Furthermore, Patricia added, we have forensic analysis of the documents Mr. Vincent Moretti submitted. The signatures are forgeries. The promissory notes were created on software my client has never used. The dates on several documents predate the formation of Sentinel Defense Technologies. Judge Holloway had examined the evidence for nearly an hour. Then she'd asked the question that changed everything. Ms. Moretti, can you describe what your company actually does? We develop secure communication protocols for military and intelligence applications. Our technology is currently deployed by the Army, Navy, and Air Force for classified operations. Classified operations? Yes, Your Honor. I can't discuss specifics, but our contracts are verified through the Defense Contract Management Agency. That's when the judge had stopped the proceedings. The FBI arrived within 40 minutes. 2 agents in dark suits, credentials displayed, expressions serious. They conferred with Judge Holloway in her chambers while my family sat in stunned silence in the gallery. "What's happening?" my mother whispered loudly. "This is just a bankruptcy hearing, ma'am. I need you to remain quiet," the bailiff instructed. Vincent was sweating visibly. He'd expected a simple proceeding, force his sister into admitting failure, maybe gain control of whatever assets her failing company held. He hadn't expected federal agents. The agents emerged from chambers and approached Vincent directly. "Mr. Vincent Moretti, we need to ask you some questions about the documents you filed with this court." "I have the right to an attorney." "You absolutely do. We're not arresting you at this time. But we are investigating whether your fraudulent petition constitutes interference with a defense contractor, which is a federal offense." My father stood. "This is ridiculous. My son was trying to help his sister." "Sir, your son filed forged documents with a federal court in an attempt to force bankruptcy proceedings against a company that supplies technology to the United States military. That's not helping. That's potentially a crime." The investigation lasted 4 months. During that time, the full scope of Vincent's scheme emerged. He hadn't just filed the bankruptcy petition, he'd been planning to use the proceedings to seize control of Sentinel's assets, which he believed were undervalued technology patents. His strategy involved forcing a bankruptcy sale, purchasing the company through a shell corporation, and absorbing my work into Moretti Holdings. He'd researched Sentinel just enough to know we had valuable intellectual property. He hadn't researched enough to understand what that property actually was, or who our clients were. The FBI took particular interest in whether Vincent had attempted to access any classified information during his planning. He hadn't. He wasn't smart enough to know it existed, but the investigation revealed his complete disregard for legal and ethical boundaries. In the end, Vincent was charged with fraud, forgery, and filing false documents with a federal court. The charges related to defense contractor interference were dropped due to insufficient evidence of intent, but the remaining charges were serious enough. He pleaded guilty to avoid trial. 18 months in federal prison, 3 years probation, and permanent disbarment from any involvement in government contracting. My father's attempts to use family influence to reduce the sentence failed. Federal judges don't respond well to pressure from commercial real estate developers, regardless of how many buildings they own. The family reckoning happened at my grandmother's house. She was 87, the matriarch who'd watched her grandchildren grow into adults she didn't always recognize. She'd summoned everyone, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, to discuss what happened to this family. I hadn't planned to attend. My relationship with the Morettis had been damaged beyond easy repair, and I wasn't interested in performing reconciliation for an audience. But Grandma Lucia had called me personally. "Alessandra, I know they hurt you. But I'm asking you to come. Not for them, for me. I need to understand before I die." So I went. The gathering was tense from the moment I arrived. Vincent was absent, still serving his sentence, but everyone else was present, arranged in the living room like actors awaiting their cues. "Let me be clear about what happened," I said before anyone else could speak. Vincent forged documents and filed them with a federal court. He committed multiple felonies in an attempt to steal my company. He did this because this family raised him to believe that my success was impossible, that anything I built must be failing, must be fraudulent, must be an embarrassment that needed correction. "We never told him to," my mother started. "You told him I was delusional. You told him my little business was a phase. You told him, all of you, that I'd eventually come to my senses and let a man take care of me." I looked around the room. Vincent just acted on what the whole family believes. He's in prison because he got caught, not because his attitude was different from yours. Grandma Lucia spoke from her chair by the window. "Is this true? You all thought Alessandra was failing?" The silence was answer enough. "My granddaughter builds technology for the military. 3 branches, she tells me. And you thought she was failing?" "She never told us what she actually did," my father protested. "We assumed. You assumed because you never asked. Because you decided who she was when she was born, a daughter, not a son, not worth the same investment, not capable of the same success." Grandma Lucia's voice carried steel beneath its age. "I came to this country with nothing. I built a family from nothing. And somewhere along the way, that family decided only half its children deserved to build anything. The aftermath was complicated. Some family relationships recovered slowly. My brothers Marcus and Anthony, who had participated in the courtroom humiliation but not the actual fraud, reached out with genuine apologies. They'd been swept along by Vincent's confidence and their father's certainty. They weren't evil, just thoughtless. My parents were harder. They'd spent 37 years believing daughters were lesser, and adjusting that belief required admitting everything they'd built their parenting on was wrong. Some days they managed it. Other days they retreated into defensive excuses. Grandma Lucia became my unexpected ally. She'd lived through enough history to understand that families sometimes get things terribly wrong, and that acknowledging wrong was the first step toward repair. Your father was raised with certain ideas, she told me once. I taught him some of them. I'm sorry for that. You didn't teach him to dismiss daughters. I didn't teach him to value them either. I assumed it would happen naturally. It didn't. Sentinel defense technologies continued to grow. The publicity from the case, carefully managed to protect classified details, actually enhanced our reputation. A company so valuable that family members would commit felonies to control it? That was a powerful endorsement of our technology. We expanded into new areas: secure communications for financial institutions, privacy protection for vulnerable populations, encryption services for journalists in dangerous regions. The military contracts remained our foundation, but we built beyond them. I hired several employees specifically because they'd been underestimated: women from non-traditional backgrounds, people who'd been told they couldn't succeed in defense technology. They became some of my best engineers, their determination forged by the same dismissal I'd experienced. You hire a lot of people with something to prove, one interviewer observed during a business profile. I hire people who've been told no and kept building anyway. Those are the employees who understand what we're doing here. Vincent was released after 14 months for good behavior. He didn't contact me directly, his probation terms prohibited it without my consent. But I heard through family channels that he was changed, that prison had given him perspective, that he wanted to make amends. I wasn't interested. Not out of cruelty or vindictiveness, out of simple recognition that some damage can't be undone. Vincent had tried to destroy my company, my reputation, and my independence. He'd committed crimes and only stopped because he got caught. His change might be genuine, or it might be performance designed to restore his position in the family. Either way, I didn't need to participate in his rehabilitation. He's still your brother, my mother said during one of her periodic attempts at reconciliation. He's the man who forged my signature and tried to steal my company. Those things are both true. I get to decide which one matters more to me. The courtroom moment stayed with me. That instant when Judge Holloway stopped the proceedings. When the bailiff started making calls. When my family's confident expectation of my humiliation transformed into dawning horror at their own exposure. I hadn't planned it. I'd simply shown up with the truth, prepared to defend myself against lies. The dramatic revelation of Sentinel's importance was the judge's doing, not mine. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. For 37 years, my family had treated me as less than. Less capable, less valuable, less worthy of investment and attention. They'd expected me to fail, and when I didn't fail, they'd tried to manufacture failure through fraud. The courtroom was the moment all of that collapsed. The moment their assumptions were exposed as not just wrong but dangerous. The moment their dismissal of me became a federal investigation. Was it worth it? Grandma Lucia asked me once. The success, the company, the vindication, but also the family damage, the estrangement, the loneliness? I thought about it honestly. I don't know if worth it is the right frame. I didn't build Sentinel to prove anything to them. I built it because I saw a problem I could solve and I wanted to solve it. The family conflict happened because they couldn't accept my success, not because I was trying to create conflict. But if you could go back, I'd build the same company. I'd maybe try harder to explain what I was doing, though I doubt they would have listened. The people who want to dismiss you will find reasons regardless of what you accomplish. My daughter was born 3 years after the court case. I named her Lucia, after my grandmother. She'll grow up knowing she can build whatever she wants: companies, families, futures. She'll never hear that her role is to support someone else's ambition while suppressing her own. My husband understands this. He's a teacher, 5th grade science, and he's never once suggested that his career matters more than mine. We're partners in the way my parents never were: equally invested, equally respected, equally present. Your family still doesn't really get it, he observed once, after a particularly awkward holiday dinner. They're proud of you now, but I don't think they understand why what they did was wrong. They're proud of the money and the recognition. They're not proud of me, they're proud of my success. There's a difference. Does that bother you? It used to. Now I just accept it as who they are. They measure worth in external validation. I measure it differently. How do you measure it? By whether I'm building something that matters. By whether the people who depend on me can depend on me. By whether I'm teaching Lucia that her possibilities are limitless. I smiled. By whether I'm happy. Are you? More than I ever expected to be. The bankruptcy court has a plaque now. Not commemorating my case specifically, but acknowledging the importance of fraud detection in protecting national security interests. Judge Holloway advocated for better screening protocols after discovering how close Vincent's scheme had come to disrupting a defense contractor. I donate to her judicial foundation annually. She probably doesn't remember my case specifically, judges see hundreds of matters, but I remember her. The moment she recognized what was actually happening. The moment she protected my company from a family that was supposed to protect me. Bailiff, I need you to make a call to the FBI. 7 words that changed everything. That exposed my family's assumptions as not just wrong but criminal. That validated 37 years of believing I could build something, even when everyone around me insisted I couldn't. They brought me to bankruptcy court expecting tears. They got federal agents instead. They expected me to admit failure because they'd never imagined my success. They filed fraudulent documents because they couldn't conceive that their dismissal might be wrong. They packed the courtroom to witness my humiliation, not understanding that they were walking into their own exposure. My little business turned out to supply 3 military branches. My delusions of success turned out to be $12.7 million in annual revenue. My brother's scheme to steal my company turned out to be a federal crime. They came for bankruptcy. They got the FBI. They expected tears. They got the truth. And the truth was so much more powerful than anything they imagined, because they never bothered to imagine a daughter could build something worth stealing.